As I said earlier, Will Dawkins had a press conference ahead of Media Day. This was a nice one where he was able to field a couple of questions from the media, answered a couple there. It was around 40 minutes long. Everyone that wants to watch it's available on YouTube, so don't worry, it's free. You can just go on YouTube and watch it there. But there were quite a few points that were brought up that I think are of note. The first, and this is just kind of a Troy flex day here, is this was actually the first time that Dawkins publicly acknowledged jump season by name. And so that was something that our very own Troy had actually reported on that a couple months ago. And he had actually talked a little bit about his intentions. Troy, do you mind speaking on that?
Yeah, so I love the fact that, the jump season is getting the proper due as far as first of all, shout out to Will Dawkins for putting together a very comprehensive off-season workout program for the young guys to be able to come in, providing the access and a comfortable space for, those Wizards, for the young players to be able to feel like, okay, I don't have to go out of market or go to, certain trainers to work out. Like, I have everything that I need here in the facility, in the practice facility. And so, there were a lot of young players who, very much took advantage of that. And so, I think that the fact that jump season, really had its first really big year is that this is something that will hopefully carry on and move forward as tradition amongst Wizards young players. And, that goes a long way when it comes in terms of building an actual winning basketball culture. And so, I'm just glad that he's finally coming out there and really talking about some of these things in public and really giving, the props to guys like Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George and A.J. Johnson, who really were in the gym putting in that work this summer.
Yeah, and he publicly acknowledged them in those comments. He also, when you first brought this up, you had said the reason they were doing jump season was because they're trying to find dogs and they're trying to breed that dog mentality. He also echoed that same sentiment in the press conference. He said what they're looking for is a more connected, more resilient, and more confident roster, and that jump season was, they think, a way to help achieve that. Another way that they want to achieve that too this upcoming season is we'll be talking about the wings today and how many that there are on this roster. He also talked a little bit about that and how he wants to utilize the go-go a lot more this coming season to develop their wings as two-way players, and later confirmed that the expectation is that the roster will be battling for their spots. So Isaac, you're someone who's covered the Go-Go pretty extensively last season. What do you think this Go-Go roster is going to look like now that they're going to be trying to utilize some of the players that are on the Wizards roster?
Because there's not a lot of bigs and we have more wings, I can assure you we're going to see a lot of 5 out and a lot more situationals where they're going to rely on their defense as the offense, knowing how head coach Cody Topper thinks, and also the lovely GMs of Jonathan Wall and Marshall Foley. They're probably going to think, hey, we have enough athletes and gazelles who whatever is left over that we can fill and make sense defensively, and what the Wizards' philosophy is, we'll do it. So there are going to be some wings. If you're 6'8", 6'9", get ready to post up. Get ready to play 3 positions. So that's what's going to be more flexible about that.
Yeah, and you know what? I love my favorite quote from Will Dawkins from his media availability was, he said, last year a lot of stuff was given more than earned. This year that won't be the case. And so I think this really goes into the conversation that we're talking about with the wings, because there are so many wings, like they're not going to just be giving out playing time. And so there are going to be a lot of guys who are going to have to go out there and earn that. And that's going to come from going down to the G League and really, staying on the grind.
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity with this team. He also talked a little bit about the injuries. He had a nice little update there. Some players who are healthy, which is good, some of whom that I weren't aware were injured. He had noted that Corey Kispert is good to come back, as is Trey Johnson and Will Riley. He noted that they were actually banged up a little bit after their stint in Summer League. And then he gave a little bit of an update on Bilal Coulibaly. That is that he is going to be reassessed shortly, but that he is currently expected to be out at least 1 to 2 weeks into the regular season. The hope was that he'd be back initially within that first week of the season. Now we know he is likely not set to be returning within the first week, possibly the first 2 weeks. What kind of opportunity does that open up for this roster, Troy?
Yeah, well, because there are so many wings on this roster, there are going to be some opportunities for guys to come in and play right away. So I'm looking at Keyshawn George. I'm looking at Will Riley. Guys who probably wouldn't, if Bilal was here, probably would have limited opportunities in training camp to be able to show what they can do. And, one of the things that I love about, professional sports is that, everybody comes around and gets, at least one opportunity. So, these guys really have to, come in the best possible shape and being as focused as they possibly be so they can, really take advantage of this opportunity they have in front of them.
Yeah, and some other injury news to get through. Alex Sarr, he was confirmed to be expected back within a week or two after the start of training camp. So the timeline there is about the same as what everyone anticipated.
I hope they really take their time with that Alex Sarr injury, especially when you look at how the calf injury to Achilles kind of transitioned over the last year. Like, that's nothing to be played with at all. So if it takes him 2-3 more weeks, a month, like however long it takes for him to get that calf as healthy as possible and prevent from having a more serious injury, then that's the route I think they should take.
Absolutely. I mean, those two players, both Bilal and Sarr, are the ones that everyone had kind of penciled in as starters for the season. And so taking it as cautiously as you possibly can with those two, if those are two players that you view as your foundations going forward, is absolutely going to be the case for this franchise. But moving on for A.J. Johnson, he apparently has a leg bruise, but he should be available at some point in the early preseason. He will not be immediately available at the starting training camp. And another player who wasn't aware was injured, Tristan Vucevic. He was apparently also hurt during Eurobasket at a hamstring issue, but he should be ready to go right now. So we've got now a couple of players who won't be available at the start of training camp. Isaac, what do you think that this does for those fringe players who are seeing an opening right now?
It's an opportunity. Don't waste it. There's the opportunity when you see that, all right, the guys that they already know that they want, that are guaranteed on this roster, they know what they're dealing with. This is for an unknown guy like an Alondas Williams or Alondas Williams or any of the G League guys to say, like, hey, consider me. I'm a backup. I'm a good understudy here. So they're going to take whatever the opportunity is. And, don't throw up like Eminem, like Mom Spaghetti, don't fold in there. That was a horrible reference, but I know what we're thinking here.
Palms are sweaty.
Yeah, palms are sweaty. Don't be nervous. Take yourself and lose yourself in this training camp and go as hard as you can. That's the best way to look at this opportunity. Take it. Don't waste it.
All right. Well, back to Dawkins. He also had quite a lot to say about a recent acquisition and hometown man Cam Whitmore. Isaac, what were your takeaways with Dawkins' comments?
My initial comment is that, Will Dawkins said, in the equivalent of, we're worried that if Cam can handle being at home, which made me wonder with questions of, are they worried that Cam might be distracted or the lights too big being at home, since he is, for the first time in a long time, he's the first DC 4 to 5 star recruit to really come back home and play. I mean, we've had guys that say, they've had DC ties, like John Wall, dad's from here. Isaiah Todd, when he first came here, he was somehow had some connection to DC.
Sadiq Bey
and Sadiq Bey. But we didn't get to see this. But yes, you're right. And with Sadiq Bey, but we didn't get to see Sadiq play. And we already knew Sadiq was going to be ready for it. But Cam is not Sadiq Bey, who is going to live in the gym and you have to drag him out. We think Cam has that work ethic from what we're hearing, but I don't know. That comment to me very kind of raised questions to me about that. But, we'll see. I'm curious to see how that goes.
Man, I don't care if Cam Whitmore has U-Street every night. Like, as long as he tries to play a little bit of defense, that's really all I care about. Like, I understand what Will Dawkins' concern is there, and his line of questioning, that he brought that up with Cam, but. To me, I think that if Cam wants to get a section in Rose Bar every single night, as long as he comes out here and tries to play a little bit more defense than what he did last year in Houston, then he's good in my book.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm with it.
Echo the sentiments over here. All right, before we move on from this, Troy, what was something else that just caught your ear from that press conference?
I think it was really interesting to see Will Dawkins, talk about, Brian Keefe. And I'm still trying to figure out what I think about Brian Keefe as a head coach. So I know that the Wizards, their organization, I know that their front office, I know that they're trying to figure out, what it is with Brian Keefe. And so there were some interesting things. They were talking about, Keefe's system and, I really don't understand what his system is. So to me, I wish that there would be more conversation, and we'll get a chance to talk to Brian Keefe at Media Day on Monday. But to me, I think that is the biggest question as far as the development of the young players on this roster is that, do they have a coach who's going to be able to get the best out of this young group? And, what are the front office, what are they doing to kind of, build that support system around him?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess we'll follow through with that in training camp. We'll see how it is that they run these teams in preseason.